Hey, it's Greg Grunberg, Snap Wexley, and you are listening to 6th Scale Scavengers.
All right, Scavengers, welcome to another episode of the 6th Scale Scavengers. I'm your host, Bryan Fontaine, joined as always with my good friends, Chris, Letty, and TC. We are a Hot Toys collecting podcast. Episode 66. Chris?
Or 66.
Yeah, execute order 66.
That's right.
Technically not our 66th episode per se, because we've had some bonus ones here, TC, here and there. I think our last episode is technically episode 66, but we're the only ones really counting. Nobody really cares about that. We are here to talk about Hot Toys, what's happened in the last 2 weeks in the collecting world. Got a bunch of figures to talk about. The topic at hand, and again, just thank you everybody for the last episode. The support and all the feedback and stuff was great. Hopefully we can keep it going again this time out, Chris. We are going to try to help people come up with a plan for how are we going to get any of these Mandalorian figures that we want. There's 16 either
already
released or announced so far. Some of them are deluxes and not. And we're also going to speculate on what's to come. And oftentimes when we speculate of what's to come, Hot Toys delivers on about a third of that. But if you're on a tight budget like a lot of us, you really have to kind of weigh some of these current decisions with maybe some of these figures that are probably very likely to get announced at some point this year, early next year. So we're going to talk through that. And oftentimes when we come up with these topics, Chris and TC, it's oftentimes our council chat. We're dealing with these problems on our own. And TC, I think it was you that had said that this would be potentially a really good show topic. So we're looking forward to diving into this in a little bit. Because I know personally, guys, I went a little too far down the pre-order rabbit hole. I need to rein it back in a little bit. So this is as much as help for myself, hopefully, as it is for the rest of our viewers and listeners out here.
Absolutely looking forward to it. Let's kick it off. All
right. So just a quick shout out. TC, we mentioned them actually. Specifically, you usually mention them at the end of every show. The three of us had the opportunity to join our friends, Zach, Dean, and Manny, with Collecting Weekly on their episode 147.
Yeah, it was. We were able to go out there and join them, and it was fun. So hopefully, anyone listening here, just give them a listen. Go check them out. They've got tons of different shows, so pretty much anything you could want.
And Chris, there might be a reason for somebody to tune in per se within the first 10 minutes or so.
Oh yeah. For one specific word alone, you guys need to go check out episode
language.
Yeah, 147.
We need Cap showing up here with language. So we'll and we also explain why, if there's any of our new listeners, why we keep the language in check here on this show. I guess we can briefly do that. So the whole idea of this show when we first started, Chris, 2.5 years ago at this point, even longer, was to be something that you could, if you were a collector and you had young children or children were around, you wanted to listen to us in the car, driving to work, dropping your kids off. I mean, a lot of us now, myself included, don't have a commute anymore. But just to have that's really safe spot to know that the language is going to be reined in. It's something that you can kind of enjoy, with your family and stuff. And that's why we go for it. Not to be completely goody two shoes all the time, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get to talk about a whole bunch of other stuff that we don't usually talk about, and it was just interesting. I mean, most of the time we were just nodding our heads and agreeing with Dean and Zach and Manny.
I had no idea what they were talking about for a lot of that stuff, but anyways,
it was fun.
So and shout out to speaking of Collecting Weekly, Mario and Eddie just started their new podcast in the In and Out of Collecting on the Collecting Weekly channel. And I haven't had a chance to watch the whole episode yet, guys, but they're definitely going to check that out. And, you know, these are people that are in the collecting community, the scavenger community. So we'd love to see people out there creating their own content, and they can see how fun it is to, for the most part, we the three of us would probably be doing this anyways. The fact that we're broadcasting it is just a plus. All right, let's get into news, guys. And in the spirit of Gare Bear, Gare, don't run your car off the road right now. Gare is, when I think of DC and I think of Batman, I think of Gare. Like that's his thing, the dopo. So, but anyways, so the last couple episodes we've talked about some trends. It was really easy to go through the Star Wars and Marvel trends recently because Hot Toys gives us a lot of figures. I said last time out, hey, we'll probably do it for DC. I knew that it wasn't good, or that the totals weren't that good, but when I actually put pen to paper and started writing it down, what's in our database at sixscalescavengers.com, I was shocked at how little they've actually done in the last 3 years. So, Chris, out of the three of us, you're the one that has the Harley obsession. So, you know, you have a little bit more insight to this than TC and I have, because outside of a fling that I had with the Wonder Woman comic version, that's
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. 2018, guys, DC Comics. Hot Toys announced 4 figures, and they released 8. 2019, 2 announcements, they released 6. And some of those were the Justice League figures that were so delayed it wasn't even funny. Last year, we got 10 announcements. They released 2. They have 13 unreleased figures at this point, including 2 that we're going to talk about this evening, and then 2 that we talked about, with the reissue of the DX12 Batman, so and the Batpod. So I don't even know what to make of this, Chris. If we look at the averages, they're going to probably give us maybe 6 or 7. I mean, some of that last year was Wonder Woman 84 figures that were announced, and obviously that movie got delayed. And there just hasn't been any other films. I mean, I guess the speculation here, Chris, would be, do we see anything from Justice League with the Snyder Cut? Yeah. I mean, could they re-release any of these figures? I don't know. I'm not personally a DC Comics fan per se. I don't know what the reception to this cut is going to be. I know for a fact that DC fans that are diehard DC fans are certainly looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think it's going to, I mean, it might be just as divisive as the original one. But I mean, it's going to be close to 4 hours of content. So, I mean, that's a lot of additional footage, and it just presents more opportunities. I mean, maybe we get some, I mean, I like to call them soft reissues, but figures that might be very similar, but they come with different accessories, different base, branded the Snyder Cut. I hope so, Gary. I mean, I'm a DC fan with the movies and some of the comics, but
Nathan, what's a DC?
Yeah,
and then we're seeing some calls here from KG Collector saying DX20 could be Heath Ledger Joker as a reissue. So
it's possible. I mean, we just got a tease that there's going to be a Joker of some sort, potentially Jared Leto. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen with Joker being in the Snyder Cut. I don't really know what's going to happen with Superman in his black suit. We've got all sorts of different characters in this movie. I think the possibilities are out there. Whether or not Hot Toys deems it worthy enough to invest in a handful of figures. I just it's a tough call. I mean, we'll definitely get some releases this year with the Harley Birds of Prey figures. That's a couple figures, and then
Wonder Woman, you probably get some of those.
Yeah, later this year the Wonder Woman figures will come out, but I think DC fans they want to see more figures coming out. It's just, again, whether or not these properties are worthy enough for Hot Toys to invest in, putting out more figures. Time will tell, but I'm hoping that it's successful and that we do see figures from the Snyder Cut, and then we've got other movies coming this year. The new Suicide Squad movie that James Gunn did. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough, it's tough to get too far into it. I mean,
yep, for sure. All right, let's get into the regularly scheduled programs here. We have 4 figures to talk about. The first one up is Chris Benware. Just lost his mind. Yeah, in that 1/6 form here. The Assault Tank Commander. We got another Rogue One figure. I think some of the speculation now is cat's out of the bag. I mean, I shouldn't say the possibilities are endless, but
yeah.
I mean, the three of us kind of speculated the fact that when we saw the tank transport figure from the Mandalorian, it is this helmet. They're doing the Shore Trooper. The shin guards are the same, just a different color. The boots are the same, a different color. The pants are there. The armor is the same. It's just essentially a repaint of everything they're going to have. If they didn't do this figure, Chris, I would have been more shocked than anything.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've got obviously the Assault Tank Commander here from Rogue One, MMS 587. Actually, it was interesting enough. This slotted down by where the Lando MMS number is. It didn't. It wasn't up recently with some of the other ones. So I don't know if they held this release back in any way, but neither here nor there. I'm just kind of a MMS number junkie because I manage the website. Retail price of this is going to be $230. A little light on accessories, and maybe this is just the new inflation price for a trooper we're going to see. We saw the same thing with the Shore Trooper. And this was announced, guys, January 29th, 2021. Hot Toys is estimating this as Q2, Q3, 2022. Sideshow saying April to June next year, 2022.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great release, and you knew it was coming with the Transport Trooper, and it was just a matter of time. And I think this is probably the one that most collectors were looking forward to. Just to be honest, I think the Transport Trooper, it was important that they released it first, and this was previewed years ago, back when they showed all the different Rogue One figures in Hong Kong, and it was with this one with all the different Shore Troopers, and it looked really good, and then just kind of went to the wayside, and finally, I guess because there's a gap in different movies right now, they're able to fit it in and put it up for order. So great figure, looks awesome. This is kind of what we'll get into later, but this is why it's difficult to collect lines, because you'll get figures like this that are amazing, that are better, in my opinion, than something like the Transport Trooper. Yet, if you want to focus on Mandalorian, you then have to decide transport this or both. It makes it tough. So, great figure. I know you guys are excited.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't have all the Rogue One figures anymore. I did at one point, and then I just decided that I didn't get any kind of big trophy for doing that. It was just kind of a hollow achievement. And ever since then, I haven't been as super into getting like full lines as you just talked about there, TC. This figure, I love the design of this as well. Obviously, I love the Shore Trooper better, Chris. But, going back to my days with Dork Lair and Bill Dranowski, I remember we reviewed this figure and in SH Figure Arts form. And this was probably my second favorite SH Figure Arts figure after the Shore Trooper, and just love the color contrast here. And Chris, this figure, although not necessarily the tank commander, but the tank pilot, has a little bit of an interesting backstory to you and I becoming friends, which is that's kind of weird.
It is crazy. It is crazy. Yeah, it was was it the Toys R Us exclusive Black Series figure? You had gotten a couple, and I think I bought it off you. Was that it?
Yeah, it was like one of the actually I think it was like the first time we met in person, first transaction, and the rest is history. So, but that was the tank pilot. I don't know if we'll ever get that one. It just doesn't have the the darker color on the shoulder armor and whatnot. So, I mean, this is just fantastic. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of chatter in the chat. Like, obviously, this is awesome, the awesome design, but there's a lot of things that we're going to have to weigh. And that's one of the reasons why we've got the show topic, that we do here. TC, I know you called it out specifically in our collector group. Again, we're kind of not only just interested in what's in the foreground here, but what's in the background here. And obviously, the Rogue One Stormtrooper is well sought after in the secondary market. It's the basis of all of the current Disney Plus shows that they're doing. And they're using basically just reusing that armor. You can tell by the black sole on the feet is more of the New Hope style versus the all white sole from Return of the Jedi. Huge Star Wars nerd. That's just the reason why I know that stuff is beyond me. But we see a couple of clean troopers here, TC, and then we also see a couple that are a little bit more dirtied up than were with the original 2-pack that had the Jedha TK figure.
Yeah. These, to me, these look new. I could be wrong. These could be just the Rogue One troopers with the pauldrons removed. But if you look at a couple of the shots on the shoulders of these troopers, they look like the shoulder padding is detached from the chest area. Old Rogue One troopers had the shoulders attached to the torso area at the neck. It's kind of like how the Death Troopers have their shoulder arm attached. These new ones look like they're separate pieces, which tells me that these are new designs. So I'm thinking they're redone Rogue One troopers, and they might go up for pre-order soon.
That'd be insane, because Chris, those aftermarket ones are just crazy right now.
Man. Yeah, that's one figure I've never had is a regular Rogue One Stormtrooper. I just started collecting too late and just could never find one at a decent price. So, and by the time I got into actual Star Wars Hot Toys collecting, it was just not even worth it.
All right, let's keep moving along here, and we'll get the next set of photos to go. Cap. Finally, after 648 days of a wait, we've got Captain America from Avengers Endgame, MMS 536, MSRP $274, originally announced April 25th, 2019, released on February 1st, 2021. Like I said, 648 days. Hot Toys originally thought it was going to be out Q2, Q3 last year. Obviously, that did not happen.
No, it didn't. Just kept on getting delayed and delayed and delayed. But yeah, I think the final product, they adjusted a few things, and I think
like the star. The star was the big thing. The head sculpt.
Star, head sculpt. I think the faceplates adjusted, redesigned. But this figure just looks awesome. I was watching Jenkin Wong's unboxing and some of his review stuff, and just in hand, this is just a solid cap. And if you want one cap, this is probably the one, at least up to this point.
Yeah, I agree. This is one of those, like, they clearly did a lot of work from the ground. Like, I probably chose more. They did a lot of a rework on previous caps, new sculpts, You got the new faceplates. They redid the shield from that promo version that came out for D23. They've redone the star. The proportions look solid. It's just a really good release. It's great as a collector to have this option because I feel Cap always lagged behind a lot of the Marvel releases. When you look at the bodies that they would use, it's just the nature of having to make a figure like basically a soldier. Maybe it was a little difficult. The concept version was really, really well done. But finally you get the MCU version updated for 2021 to match your Iron Man, to match your Thor figure. It's finally up to par, in my opinion, versus some of the older ones. Not that they're bad, just a lot of these new figures from Hot Toys have been next level. I just feel Cap just lagged a little bit behind. But awesome release.
We've talked about previously, the D23 Cap is what broke me. Just it set me down on this path of just I lost my mind completely. I had all the caps at one point. I just said screw it. And in hindsight, maybe that was the best thing for me because I obviously have deviated a couple different times from here, but I think this is going to be the definitive Captain America. Like, if you're a type of collector that you only like to have one version of a character on your shelf, I'm not that type. I don't mind having different versions, and Luke Skywalker is my boy. I'll talk about that later, but even myself, over my shoulder here, I've got a couple of the different caps that I still have. Like head sculpt wise, completely looks more like Chris Evans. I think, guys, did they fix the shield, the broken shield? Because I know that was a little bit of, so
they did fix it.
Okay, good. That's what I thought, because it looked more like it did in the film, where it's still kind of straight across after Thanos had broken that. But like, I'm stoked like to get this. Obviously, we still have the 2012 original Avengers cap to come at some point. You have this and maybe that. If you don't even have to go back and get any of the old Captain Americas. I still like the Civil War one, a lot. The Infinity War one is technically not a great figure, but I still have Cap enough to keep it in my collection. That value is just absolutely tanking, which it's a shame they overproduced the figure and it's not the strongest. But like this, I can't say enough good about this. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like in Infinity War, if you're looking at that figure, not only may have been overproduced, it just has no appeal to collectors outside of this, the biggest Cap fans or Marvel fans. No, I mean, Star Wars collectors are looking at this. Mike from our admin chat is even getting this. So, and he only collects Star Wars. So this has a lot of appeal, a lot of crossover appeal to all types of fans, casual MCU fans, hardcore MCU fans. Just a culmination of Captain America over the 10 years that he was in the MCU as, Chris Evans. So this is going to sell out, not quickly, but you can already see it disappearing from some of the smaller retail chains.
I mean, the one thing I have a concern about this figure, and it's not even a concern really per se for myself, just because I've got it on order, I'm going to get it regardless, is this still going to fall prey to the way over pre-ordered Marvel figures that were last year? I mean, is there a play, Chris, to potentially get this from overseas and see maybe if the value is going to be maybe potentially under the sideshow price?
I think there is. That's kind of, I'll talk about in collection update. I mean, that's kind of the strategy that I'm thinking. There's rumors that there was a huge production run on this figure, but that's, nothing concrete. It's just, chatter in the community. So I think this figure could just have a ton of, there's just a lot of them out there, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see. All the other Endgame figures are just, you can get pretty much every single one of them below retail. Some of them significantly below retail. I don't know. Will this year having basically constant Marvel content from here on out as long as the movies come out. We've got 4 or 5 TV shows coming out. Does that reinvigorate the Marvel market? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it will, but great
Yeah.
figure nonetheless.
This one probably has tons of figures produced. It will be interesting. I think the figure that will have the tank will tank in Hong Kong is the 2012 Captain. I don't think it has nearly the same appeal. I don't know what the production's like, but if it's coming out on the heels of this one, I think this is the one that more people are going to go for. We'll see, but it's a great figure.
Yeah. All right, we just talked about it with DC. These have been on display for a while. We didn't think they were actually going to make them. Coming to us all the way from the year 1995 with Seal belting out Kiss from a Rose, Chris.
That's right.
Batman Sonar suit from Batman Forever.
Mm-hmm.
Val Kilmer, Chris O'Donnell, which we'll talk about briefly in more ways than one. Who else was that? Alicia Silverstone, Tommy Lee
Uma
Jones,
Thurman, Jim Carrey.
It was it was the thing in like we were talking about before the show too. Like Chris, for you and I, the big Batman film was Batman Returns, but for a larger subset of our viewers and stuff, there's a lot of fond memories for this movie and this figure. And I know, like I mentioned him earlier, like Gare Bear was like stoked. I was sending him some messages, privately too. And I'm just like, this is what collecting's all about. I'm not getting this figure. I like Batman. I'm just not a Batman collector. I love seeing people in the community getting the opportunity to get a figure they didn't think they were going to ever get from something that clearly means a lot, to somebody. It's just, that part is so cool. There's something for everything with collecting. There's, no wrong or right way to collect unless you're me, because then I'm all wrong. But like, I was honestly surprised that we ever got this. It was shocking to see it at the cons. And I think I'm more shocked here that on February 2nd, 2021, not 1995, we've got this Batman figure. MMS 593, retail price at Sideshow is going to be $255. And we're looking at that April to June timeframe next year.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I just when we saw these as prototypes on display at the cons, it was just like, whoa, that was
for one reason or another right now.
Just certain things on display.
I'll save it for the next
emphasized, figure. But I think, as far as iconic Batman portrayals go, this one doesn't really stick out too much for me. I think it's a cool Batman design. It definitely has the 90s flair to it. And I think the figure, as far as like how it looked in the movie, the execution looks really good, especially the face. Hot Toys did a great job, as they usually do. But I think this is a little glimmer of hope for DC fans that maybe Hot Toys is just more open to going and grabbing from, previous iterations of the characters.
TC, one thing that may be a possibility here too is, we've talked about it previously, is like at certain points there's going to be older franchises that, when collectors are at the age when they have disposable income to spend, not to stereotype anybody, but at a certain point you feel like, you've got your bills paid for and you want to spend money on, collectibles and stuff. When you've got extra money, and then it's something that obviously you thought very fondly of when you were a child. That's, I think personally, why I think a lot of people still really, there's a strong feeling for, say, the prequels when a lot of people still don't like them, this could be, a very similar situation here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's just how collecting goes, and I think this bodes very well for DC fans because the fact that they're dropping these now, to me, tells me that as the Snyder Cut nears, they're going to drop something from the Snyder Cut, but they want to get these out to kind of get the ball rolling. It's a classic Hot Toys move.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put these out on the heels of a Snyder Cut release. Put them out now. And then when the movie does come, drop Black Suit, Superman, or whatever else might be in the movie. And I think DC is going to have some more figures this year. The lull in the MCU is going to help kind of allow for DC to get those figures made.
Just one other final thought on this figure, Chris. Did you guys see anything about the suit material? I don't know if it's like a softer plastic or a foam. Somebody said that it might be similar to the Batman Returns figure, but I've never seen that one in person myself, so it's hard for me to speak to that.
Yeah, because it's got seamless. It looks like seamless joints at the hips and at the shoulders and everything. So maybe it's some sort of like rubbery foam type of material that has more flex to it. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how this figure comes out and when people have it in hand.
Pops is saying it's potentially rubber. So, I mean, I personally would love to see it be something durable enough that people can actually pose this and you don't have to get stuck with, with a museum pose. That would not be good. All right. So I'm going to keep a straight face. Main event.
It's right here.
John Martino.
Here for.
John Martino with Tashi Station. If you're still listening or watching,
big man on campus.
This one's for you, buddy.
Big something on campus.
So
yeah,
Robin again, Batman Forever. Chris O'Donnell. Chris O'Donnell was huge in the 90s. I mean, he had the Three Musketeers, and he probably was in a whole bunch of other films. And I don't remember the last time I saw him in anything. So MMS $594. The retail price of this is $245. To be honest, guys, I thought this would gonna be more than the Batman figure because he's packing more heat in the utility belt. Again, April to June 2022. All right, guys, before I kick it over to you, my wife puts up with my collecting. She doesn't care that I talk about certain things, but I was like, all right, I'm gonna just get an honest take here. She doesn't even know what I'm gonna show her, and I said, all right, I'm going to show you this picture. And I showed her a picture that we showed earlier that was Batman and Robin next to each other. And I said, I'm not going to say anything about what you're about to look at, but I want you to tell me exactly what the first thing that you think is. What do you think the first thing she mentioned was, Chris?
Robin's package.
Yep. So somebody that's not a collector, somebody that probably doesn't remember watching Batman Forever was like, that's not but if you look back at the movie, that's what they did with the costume. So it's technically screen accurate. Yeah,
and that's where Hot Toys, that's their bread and butter, is making things screen accurate. And when you start taking liberties on things that they say are screen accurate, that's when people complain. But
I mean, Dick Grayson.
Yes, exactly.
That's his name.
That's his name. And apparently he has to emphasize his man nipples on his suit too. It's just like, what the heck?
So TC, it's funny you mentioned that, Chris, because I had to just look at some of the comments on the Hot Toys official Facebook group on just what people were commenting on this figure in particular. Somebody did a side-by-side screenshot, TC, of the figure here. It wasn't the lower body that he was focused in on. It was the chest area, Chris, and said that the chest is not large enough compared to what it should be. Should have had more pecs. I'm like, I don't think that's the thing that they were really worried about with this figure.
Oh, Lord. Like, really? I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking when they designed this suit. It definitely screams like 90s over the top stuff.
The Captain Morgan pose.
Oh my
On
god.
a base that I don't even think comes with a figure. Somebody pointed out too.
Oh, no
in our group.
kidding.
Yep.
Oh man. Yeah, this is going to be another this is an all-timer for Hot Toys, and yeah, I just when this thing comes out, I cannot wait to hear some of the reviews.
Country Club saying that comments just went up about 200.
If you want an eye catcher in your office,
Oh yeah. You just get him. Yeah.
just this figure.
And guys, hold on. Just happy birthday shout out to one of our favorite scavengers, Jesse, tuning in live on his birthday. So happy birthday, Jesse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, guys, I know there's one of these photos coming up. I keep waiting. I can't see the next photo before I click to it on my screen here, but I have to blame Scott on our admin team, and I'm going to have to blame Roy. They had this idea that they came up with, and I think it's coming up soon, guys. I every time I click, it's going to be the next photo here. One of them, it's going to be. Come on. Don't let me down, Hot
so
Toys.
many promo pics here.
I know.
There's like a special edition pic, right? Something.
Yep. If you need to use your Scott Lang Ant-Man head sculpt and you just happen to be getting an extra Robin because of, I mean, what a kit bash this is. This is somebody very proud of what they're endowed with.
Yes. Yep. Just look at me. Look at me. Just the. This is just so awesome.
Yeah. So we like to have fun here. We're serious most of the time, but we also like to have some fun here too. Oh boy. All right. So guys, we've got one more figure to talk about. Now, although it says 6 Scale Scavengers is our podcast name, we're focusing on Hot Toys specifically, not always anything else, but we made an exception for Gandalf. We shall not pass on talking about this, Chris. We talked about what is originally announced, and I'm going to be completely honest, guys. Like, Asmus completely blew me out of the water here in terms of me thinking of what they could produce for their final product here. We are looking at a final product. I was completely worried about, I probably had this on pre-order at one point in my life at Big Bad Toy Store and probably canceled it like twice. But my biggest concern for this at the very beginning was going to be how the rooted hair looked, TC. And this
Looks good.
It looks great. I mean, is it Hot Toys? Is it Hot Toys quality? Probably not, but it's darn close.
Oh, the rooted hair is better than Hot Toys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, like they showed pictures along the way with like the unpainted sculpt with the rooted hair, and it didn't look that great. But once they painted it, obviously, and then once they styled the hair and I guess, mastered the rooting, it just looks really good. It looks like Gandalf, and can't say that for a lot of their figures, but they really did deliver on this. The price point's warranted, and for those who ordered it, actually I ordered it, have it on order with BBTS. I'm excited, and you get the base with the sign on the Hobbit sign, the no visitors except on party business. It's just a really good figure. The one downside I've been hearing is that the pipe is not going to be included. So Gandalf's pipe, due to licensing, didn't get final approval. It's a rumor, but other than that, great work. I mean, this is a really good job by Asmus Toys.
Yeah. So Chris, this was that Crown series, so CRW001. At one point, we were trying to keep track of all the Asmus releases on our website as well, but it just the interest wasn't there. There wasn't enough releases, and to be honest, I just didn't feel like keeping up with it. So, yeah, I mean, this was there's a couple different variations and forms, so it'll be interesting to see if this is the quality that we get from the Crown series. I mean, what are they gonna do for other ones? Are they gonna do, there's been a rumor that they'll look at like a Crown series Aragon. They've done a couple different versions of the figures before, and I'm gonna put this as kindly as I can. Some of them just do not look like any of the actors. Like the Hobbits specifically look like they were beaten with an ugly stick.
Brutal.
It's brutal. And you like to see, I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. I obviously about once per year, I'll usually watch through all the films. I guess that makes me a fan, but I don't feel the need necessarily to have this in my collection. I'm gonna probably admire this one from afar, Chris.
Yeah, not that long ago, I was going to start dabbling in the Asmus line, and I just realized that with everything coming out for Star Wars and Marvel Hot Toys, it was not going to be feasible to do it, so I had canceled the figures that I had on pre-order. This was one that I was considering. I mean, I think it looks, the rooted hair looks really good. I think because it was all hand done, in such a low production number, I think that's why they could achieve this level of quality. I think with Hot Toys, when they get to production runs in the thousands and, like Black Widow in the tens of thousands, that you just can't do it. I mean, you can have customizers do just like absolutely amazing jobs rerouting hair and everything, but it's going to cost you, I don't know, $300, $500, who knows what it costs. But something like this, I think if you're a Lord of the Rings fan and you only want one figure, this is a great representation. You have this on a shelf with, an original Lord of the Rings novel and a couple other, one-to-one pieces and stuff. I mean, it just makes for a great display, or you pick up a couple of the other figures. But I mean, this would be a great place to start going forward. I wouldn't really try to look back if you want to get into this line, just because, like you said, Brian, a lot of the older figures are not the greatest. I think when you've got a bunch of them on display in a scene, they look pretty decent. But when you start really looking at the face sculpts and the hair and the hairlines, and I think, those are weak points for those figures. But again, a great figure. They could come out with Gandalf the White as a next figure. They could come out with just a number of the other, Saruman or whoever. It's just, I think it's great for the 6 scale community to have options.
Yeah, for sure. So anything else? I know we don't have it in the show notes here. Anything you guys are seeing, like stock or anything coming soon? I know the Mark 85 is hitting soon. I know, shout out to David in our group, is tracking shipping manifestos and shipping containers. And it looks like there'll be a shipment of the TMS 014 and 015 standard and deluxe Mando arriving in California probably within the month, which then you shouldn't be surprised to see a Sideshow sending out the emails saying that next wave of figures that they'll be sending out will be there. So that, my friends, is next level scavenging. And he's like, that's just another reason to be kind of in our group. The all publicly available data. It's not like it's proprietary in any way. So David, thanks for going the extra mile there and giving our community information you're not going to really see anywhere else.
Yeah, that's really good information. Very much appreciated, and keep it coming, man. We're thankful. Real quick, just stuff that I've noticed. Qui-Gon Jinn, while he's still available at Sideshow and doesn't appear to be low stock, good luck finding him anywhere else. I've searched, and it's just not there. So that's not necessarily an indicator that Sideshow's going to sell out, but it is an indicator that he's a pretty popular figure right now. Just keep in the back of your mind that you're gonna have to go through Sideshow, and it could hit wait lists in the next month or two. It's very possible.
Yeah, and we know how things go when that happens.
Yes, we do. All right, guys, let's shift gears, talk about our collection updates. For anybody new tuning in for the first time, the three of us go through and explain all the crazy stuff that we've done in our own collections for the last 2 weeks. Again, why people find this entertaining is beyond me. Mostly it's just an opportunity to poke fun at myself. And we, as we'll talk about with our topic shortly here, talking about what to do with the Mandalorian line. None of us have infinite budgets to just go buy everything. I saw in the comments earlier, What's Up Chief was mentioning that he's very interested to learn how people are going to swing and afford all of these figures because there's a lot of them. So even the diehard collectors amongst us have some battles to pick and choose here. And we're going to talk about each one of the figures and what are we doing with them personally, kind of our thoughts. And then we're going to kind of speculate on what we might see coming up. And one thing that I've done recently, guys, it's helpful for me is a this or that, to make things about fantasy football or daily fantasy sports. When you're talking about making a lineup decision and you end up with a 1v1 player decision, you either have the player A or player B, and then that kind of dictates kind of like the rest of your strategy for like building a roster. It's very similar to collecting. I don't make very many fantasy football analogies. That was what I did before I started this whole Star Wars and collecting podcast thing. So old habits die hard. So who talks first? I talk first.
I'll talk first. No, Chris, go. You go for it.
The mustache speaks.
Yeah,
that's right.
Better beard. You get the honors.
I need to work on that.
Yeah, you got a long way to go there. So I did pre-ordered the Assault Tank Trooper Dopo, just like the shirt says, day one pre-order with Ray at Underground Figures. So wanted to lock that in. I just love that design. Had to have it in the collection. I also decided that I was going to pre-order a regular Beskar Mando. I had a lot of Sideshow rewards points and figured adding a different MMS or TMS number to the collection was worth it. So did that. And then I decided to cancel some stuff. And right on the heels of it being released, I decided to, I did cancel Endgame Cap because, and these are all with Sideshow, because it had been delayed so many times. I knew that I could get my NRD back, my non-refundable deposit. So I canceled that. I just had to make some decisions, like we're going to talk about. I had Endgame Iron Man Mark 85 battle damage. Amazing figure. I still want it, but again, I canceled my pre-order. I get some rewards back on that one. And then I also canceled Mysterio. Again, another figure that I do plan on getting down the line. It's just there was no NRD on that one. And with the way things are going with Marvel, maybe it's the wrong decision, but I'm just going to try to source some of these elsewhere once they get released.
I mean, The Economist is giving you some grief right now. 6-scale Economist in the house.
Yeah.
I know. Getting cold feet on Cap. He missed the first part of where you're saying that, so.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm going to get Endgame Cap. I'm just going to see what happens. And worst comes to worst, I just ordered again through Sideshow. But I don't know. I regret a number of the stuff I ordered early on with the Marvel stuff, and then come to find out as time went on that you could get some of these figures for like $100 under retail from Hong Kong. So, I mean, that's a lot of money. It adds up. So I'm just going to switch it up here. So that's it for me. TC?
Yeah. And that's disappointing. when you look like a year down the line after you've bought something at retail and it's worth like 75% of what you purchased.
Speaking of,
Speaking of,
yeah,
I was the fool who bought 2 Infinity War caps. One movie promo, which had a worthless accessory, and one regular, and sold the movie promo one. I do like the Infinity War cap. I don't have a problem with it. I think the outfit's sweet. I think I like the Wakandan shields. I think it's a cool alternative look. But it's just like once you keep adding pieces, at some point do you just trade out? I mean, do I need all the caps? Maybe, but really my primary focus in Marvel isn't Captain America. It's Iron Man and it's Spider-Man. So for me to just accumulate Captain Americas, I just don't know if that's going to happen. So I'm kind of leaning selling my other Infinity War cap. So that might be on the horizon, but I sold that one for like $70 less than what it would retailed for, which was disappointment. And I sold Infinity War Bucky. I just don't need that figure anymore. And it's Cap's buddy, but if I'm not gonna have any Infinity War caps, I just didn't feel the need. I actually got like $240, $250. So that wasn't bad.
not bad.
Not bad. And then I picked up Darth Maul from Solo, and I think that figure's awesome. The mechanical legs, very good. Sculpt's awesome. Don't really have any complaints at all. I mean, the paintwork is great, and it's pretty hard to find right now. So I recommend the figure. I don't have DX16 or DX17. You can't even really find DX16 anymore for less than $400 new, and it's pretty much almost the same price as DX17 pretty much everywhere where he's available. So this is my alternative, and it'll work for me. I only need one Maul, so I'm happy with that. And then I got the Star Wars light box for like $60.
Nice.
So hopefully add that to the display one day on the Star Wars section, and very cool there. And then just updating, I had Asmus Gandalf on pre-order for a good while. I actually had it back in June. I did cancel it and then reordered it early January because I did end up wanting it, and then happy that the final product, is what it is. So excited for that.
Yeah. Very cool.
All right, I'll go last as normal. So a couple things. I did mention last time out that I had my Infinity War Machine and Endgame rocket on eBay. Both of those sold, sent those out. Chris, I also had a Dopo. Mike, our moderator, talked me into it. The Tank Commander, I got that with Ray at Underground Figures. I was going to wait, but then I just decided, actually, and TC helped with the direction too. He's like, with all the Rogue One figures you have, you're going to skip that one. So again, the price was right and went there. So the other thing, I don't know if I've mentioned it on a show. It's been kind of, depending on when the last time I mentioned it, but with spoiler alert, with Luke Skywalker appearing at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2, really rekindled my affirmation that why on earth did I sell all those figures originally when he's by far my favorite character? So I've been on the hunt lately. I'm not just, as Roy says, I'm not just flipping money out there by any means, but I've been on the hunt basically since the finale aired. So that was December 18th. So only up until recently have I found a couple good deals. So first up, I did find on eBay, and again, we've done a bunch of different topics on eBay, finding really good deals and stuff. Save searches are your friends. And when you save searches, keep them generic enough so that it's just like Hot Toys Luke Skywalker, because you can have people that will list things and they'll omit, say, an MMS number or the movie title or something. I scored an Endor Luke for retail. I already got the deluxe in the marketplace today. And if anybody that's been looking for a Luke now knows that the prices are just absurd to get one for retail, and nobody else bid against me. Like, it was just a really obscure named one, and it was brand new sealed. Really lucked out there. And then obviously everybody else knows that the original MMS 429 that has the brown Jedi cloak, not the black one like he has in the Mandalorian. Those prices are over $4. Found one for way less than that. Still, obviously, more than retail, but I was glad to have Chris, the prodigal son, back. The first, technically with that figure and the Mark V diecast were the first figures we ever reviewed. Verbally, not with on video when we first started this podcast. So you can still find the audio only on YouTube. Kind of blanked there for a second. So glad to have those back in the collection. And then Chris, a place that you've stopped a couple different times, Enterprise Comics in Keene, New Hampshire. You had shared some photos recently. You did some little reconnaissance and noticed that they had a couple Luke Skywalkers there. I know that we've hooked up a fellow scavenger recently. They were able to get a Hoth Leia from this individual at Enterprise Comics. So I went in, took my son. We took a drive over. It was about an hour and 15 minutes on last Saturday. And there they are, sitting in the case, I can't talk. It's live radio, live YouTube. Farm Boy Luke and Force Awakens Luke Skywalker, just barely over retail. Original owner. They were in a display case like a lot of comic shops do, just so they can display it. No issues with either figure. So hooked him up and get rid of some older figures he had. And it sounds like you've talked to him quite a bit before too, Chris. And he does have a bunch of other stuff on display right now that is hard to find, like Infinity War Groot. There was a DX-15 Jack Sparrow that he had on display. A couple of other ones. I posted some of the photos and stuff in our group, but does seem like he might be willing to ship. So, I know in this day and age, it's people prefer to send like emails and Facebook messages and stuff. Pick up the phone and give him a call. Enterprise Comics, Keene, New Hampshire. He might be willing to, sell you something at a good price and ship it out to you. So, and then tell him the Scavenger sent you. So that would be even better. And then finally, just a quick shout out to, I saw Mark out in the chat, and also shout out to George in our community too. I've been on the hunt for some E11 Stormtrooper blasters for my Stormtrooper grunts that are going to be coming in, so I can have them be screen accurate, and pleasantly proud to say that I'm the owner of a couple extra E11 Stormtrooper blasters now, and they'll looking great with my shore troopers that'll come in next year. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Whew. All right. That is a collection update. And all right, this topic, we're already at just shy of the 1 hour mark. I think we might go a little long. I know we started a little bit later than normal this evening, but this is going to be worth talking about. So 16 Mandalorian figures under the Mandalorian Disney Plus line so far. Some of them are deluxes of figures. Some of them are released. Some of them are announced. We're going to quickly go through rapid fire, kind of like what our plans for each, what the play may be for new collectors coming in if you don't have them already. And then we have a list of 17 or 18 figures, Chris and TC, that we cobbled together as an admin team, our council. We tried to put our heads together to say, okay, what figures could come out? And then we try to rank them from like the most likely to not, knowing that, apparently Hot Toys is allergic to doing people head sculpts for any of these. All but one so far is, the Moff Gideon is the only one unmasked at this point. So we're going to talk through this. This is going to be kind of fun. I'm looking forward to this, guys, because these are decisions we're having to make. When there was only 4 or 5 figures out, it's like, yeah, I'm going to collect all the Mandalorian figures. Now there's 16. And if you get both Mandalorian versions, the deluxe
lots of troopers,
the speeder bike, there's a lot of name characters still to come that we'll talk about. That would you spend the pre-order money to get a couple of troopers, or would you want, say, a Luke Skywalker reissue, or Ahsoka? I mean, those are the things that we're going to have to say. It's a this or that type of conversation. So not bearing the lead anymore here. So let's just go. We're to go in order. The original figure of the year 2020 from the Scavenger community, the Mandalorian TMS007, original retail price $243, sold out everywhere. This you cannot find for probably under $400 at this point. We speculated, guys, that this was going to be hard to get. The FOMO kicked in, our topic from last time, and I think the three of us have this. And my recommendation, guys, is if you don't have this already and you didn't plan to get it when it was originally up for pre-order or for sale at retail, you probably didn't want it originally. I wouldn't feed the hype machine on this one unless the Mandalorian is absolutely your favorite character and you've got to have all different versions of him.
Yeah, if you don't have it now, I would just go with the Beskar one.
Right.
It comes with the
Just
Grogu.
move on.
Yeah.
Move along. Yeah, this is a must have, must keep, like, forever figure for the collection. This is the way to go. I just, like TC said, I would not try to chase this figure. Just because those extra funds, you could use those towards one of the other figures in the line. So,
all right, next up was TMS008. I just saw What's Up Chief mentioning that you should probably hurry up and pre-order this if you don't already, because it's hard to come by in his home country of Australia. This one is not released yet, guys, but it was the second figure that they had announced. It was on the preview poster, or the preview quarterly release of, basically what they're expecting to release here, quarter one. I think at the time, guys, people weren't super excited about this because we hadn't really seen him in action in the show. And then people got really not excited because it looked like he was a one and done, Chris.
mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, again, spoiler alert, he shows up again and is a completely almost different character, and obviously voiced by the great Taika Waititi.
Yep.
To me, this is still, for me, a must get, because although he's only technically in 3 chapters or episodes or whatever you want to call them, like, to me, he's a main kind of character of the show, The Mandalorian, and I'm looking forward to adding this one.
Yeah, this was this was something that was, the imagery for this character was out before the show even came out, and the IG droid is a classic original Star Wars design, and I think getting it in Hot Toys form is just really cool. We don't get too many figures like this, an assassin droid, and especially at the end of the season 1 when he got on that speeder bike with Baby Yoda's just like, strapped to his chest, and it's just a great image. And I think what he meant to the first season, and then obviously meant a lot to the the people on Navarro to have him immortalized in as a statue in the town. It's just an awesome figure. I've got this one on pre-order. It's my last figure I think I have on pre-order from Big Bad Toy Store, so I'll probably get it
next
in
year.
2022, 2023, but hopefully we can see this figure soon. The only bummer about this one is it comes with another sand base with the footprints in it that aren't droid footprints. So
yeah. And Bill with Dorkler saying too, like, obviously a key point in Mando's character development to, essentially end up trusting droids. And TC, I know there was a little concern about the bandoliers that were on this initially that looks like it might not fit per se. But if you try to go with the chapter 7 or chapter 8 look, he doesn't have the bandoliers on anymore. So you could maybe grab the poncho and put Grogu there too. Yeah. Or maybe get the speeder bike and throw IG-11 on there.
Yeah,
in the speeder bike promos, they had him on there. So it seems like it's doable.
Yeah, hopefully. This is too good to pass up. This is not one you want to pass on.
All right. The next one up, and I think we had done like a special live stream of when the Heavy Infantry Mandalorian dropped, TMS010. Retail price of this is $281. This has dropped already, and This one I'm struggling with, guys. I'll pass it to you guys first because I keep going first on each of these. But this one ultimately is going to be a pass for me, and it's a tough pass.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. It looks amazing. They put a lot of effort into this one, and it's tough because it's not heavily ordered, so you're like, oh, it's going to be a $400 figure. Well, really, tons of Star Wars figures are $400 figures because they don't make enough of them, and the demand's too high. So you can't think, oh, I got to get it because it's going to be a $400 figure. I'm going to get it because the Mandalorian line is going to be my primary focus of all Star Wars. So I'm getting it because it sets the scene. It's part of the Mando. It's part of the Mando's history. So I like it, but it's a pass if you're looking at 3, 4, 5 figures from the line. That's how I view it.
Chris?
Yeah, no. Okay, so again, I do get where you're coming from. This figure was not heavily featured in the series, and it's just, he had a couple really cool scenes in one episode, or is he in 2 episodes? I forget, but it's just this figure. If you want a figure to have shelf presence, to really make a statement, to really pop in your lineup or your collection, this is the figure. There has not been any other Star Wars figure like this, the size and the bulk. And I mean, it's just a badass looking figure, but again, it's not a hugely, but I mean, this is the thing. You can say that about troopers and that sort of thing as well. So this is where you've got to kind of figure out what's most important for your collection. So
for me, guys, I mean, it was, to be honest, like the character name is obviously Paz Vizsla. Obviously, this is extremely tough because I can see how everybody is just raving about this figure that already has this in hand. But ultimately, at the end of the day, and if it was a budget decision for me, do I want the heavy infantry Mandalorian, or do I want one of 2 Boba Fett's that we're going to potentially be getting? And if I'm putting Boba Fett against this figure, I'm going to pick Boba Fett 10 out of 10 times. So for me, that's ultimately what it came down to. I think, like, everybody's right. This is just going to be tremendous. However, there's a sacrifice here. There's a sacrifice for budget. There's a sacrifice for space. And ultimately, yes, you put him with Mando and a lot of other figures. And if Mandalorians are your focus, you've got a great one because there's other ones that we're going to talk about here. But for me, it's a hard pass. I may regret it, but like ultimately too, you can't really go. And this is the first time that TC, you mentioned it. A lot of figures go for a lot because of just the scarcity of them. Do not get this figure because you want it to be a $400 figure. Get this figure because you want the figure and you like how it looks. This is personally one of the coolest scenes in all of Star Wars when all the Mandos come up in Navarro. Like, that still gives me goosebumps when they come to rescue Mando. Just what it means and the whole scene and everything. But ultimately, I'm going to make the sacrifice not to have this there. And, I'll live with it. It is tough. This is going to be one of the tough decisions for a lot of collectors.
And we could see him again.
We could, but we don't know his fate.
Right.
Quickly on Remnant Stormtrooper, we've talked ad nauseum about this is a scarce figure. I don't think that the price justifies what this is here. I originally had this, guys. I got it back one other time from Pop Culture for retail because I thought I was going to collect all the Mandalorian figures, and it just ultimately it's like it's a cool piece, but again, do I want a Remnant Stormtrooper or do I want Bo-Katan? Well, I'm going to choose Bo-Katan. So, and I don't mean it to keep sounding facetious about like this either or type thing, but I don't know. Ultimately I decided I didn't need this in my collection.
The only thing I would say to that is these releases aren't really like movie releases. They're not putting out 12 at a time in the span of a month and a half. So if you're going to say, yeah, do I want this, do I want Bo-Katan, this or Boba Fett, it's not the worst idea in the world. You don't have to do this, obviously, but to get it, and then if in the future you want Bo-Katan, well, just sell it.
Yep.
because you're gonna end up making you're gonna be fine money wise there. So it's just different ways to play it. I can see it both ways.
Yeah,
But
this
get it.
trooper was probably the biggest like underwhelming feeling when I opened when I opened up this figure, and I just felt like I did not need this figure. I mean, I kind of regretted selling it because I sold it a little bit too soon, but I didn't know the price was going to continue to go up. I made my money back and then, you know, a little bit, but it's funny when stuff like this happens, when not a lot of figures are picked up, and a dirty stormtrooper is going for like almost $400. It's just it's mind-boggling, but again, it's the supply and demand.
All right, Incinerator Stormtrooper is going to be our feature review figure, so we'll be very light here. I mean, you guys, we all owned it at one point. I did end up selling mine already. Again, I just ultimately, and I'll get into the reasons why during the review, but this is still available for retail. Obviously, had a scene in Chapter 8, Chris. A very cool scene. We talked about it with Cletus the Hebrew Hammer. Like, this guy came in like a boss battle, you know, his midsection leading the way, like a boss, as we just said. But it's just, yeah, he's leading the way like Robin here. Obviously, if you like the figure and you want it, go get it. Don't let this.
Retail.
It's available at retail. Go get it if you want it. I'm personally not. I don't miss this in my collection already.
Yeah, I would. I know the Remnant Troopers are worth more right now, and I know they might be better as just a pure figure, because some of the weathering's questionable on this. I would rather have this trooper than a Remnant Trooper, because the moment where Grogu stands up to him is just awesome. Where he sends the fire right back to his face and just throttles him to the ground. That's one of my favorite scenes in the whole season, if not my favorite scene. So I want this figure in my collection. It's a buy for me.
And it has more shelf presence than a Remnant Trooper. The colors pop. It's just in my opinion, a cooler looking Stormtrooper, just overall.
All right. Next up was the Death Trooper reissue TMS013. Retail price is $235. I still think this is available at retail a lot of places. Obviously, this is one of those first crossovers that you could use this for a Rogue One display with Krennic, or you can use them obviously on Navarro. Again, we talked before, they used using a lot of the props from Rogue One for the Mandalorian TV show. I think it's great. I love that, being able to see these designs again, especially something as iconic as this.
Yeah, very good. If you got Rogue One, Death Troopers, not a must buy. You can also get away with one, in my opinion. I don't know if you need to. Just kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, Chris, I've got the original. This figure from Rogue One. I had one of these. I got it from Stevens, I think, actually, Stevens Collectibles, and I just decided I didn't need it. I actually sold it sealed. Maybe I'll regret it eventually, but I thought one Death Trooper was going to be enough for me.
Yeah, I got two of these guys, still sealed. I haven't opened either one of them. Shame on me. But I had the three. Did I have three? I can't even remember how many Rogue One Death Troopers I had. I sold the regular one because I knew I had these two coming, and basically selling that one almost paid for the two of these ones outright. But again, I don't know if I'm going to keep both the ones, but I'm just going to hold on to them for right now because, you know, I've got Krennic, got Gideon, Moff Gideon on pre-order, so I could potentially have some options for display. But yeah, for me, at the time when it was released, it was a must-buy. But now I'm kind of wavering on if I really needed it.
All right, next up, TMS 014, The Mandalorian, the Child, the standard version. So, Chris, you just mentioned it. I've been toying with the idea of getting a standard version just to have another look. Ultimately, I just decided that although it would be cool to have his jetpack on and the signet for the Mudhorn and potentially like maybe him in a rocket, using his rocket pack or something, I just didn't. It wasn't different enough. Like it was like with a Luke, Deluxe and Endor, where you have two completely different looks. I just decided that I probably didn't need to go that route with the standard one here.
Yeah, I mean, this decision was, I don't know. I do want to have different looks. I mean, in my head, I want to have a Mando set up. In my hallway to my basement, I put in floating shelves, and I want to have potentially a Mando on display by itself as you walk down into the basement, and then have another Mando set up in the Mando display that I hopefully will eventually have. But yeah, we'll see. Or I just keep it sealed and wait till it's sold out, and
yeah, if you're looking to save money, you can easily get away with just the standard or the deluxe. I don't think you need both, but you gotta have one. I think you gotta have one.
So TC, you're the one that got this out of all of us, and like when you mentioned how cool Grogu, Baby Yoda was in the pram and everything here. Obviously, you're a good friend of mine. I trust your judgment and whatnot. But man, like when I got it in my hand myself, I was like, holy cow. I always catch myself looking over at my shelf just to see, the original Mando and the one with the Beskar here. We don't say it often, and we don't want to just go spend people's money. But like, please, if you are a fan of The Mandalorian, get this version or get the other one. Do not skip. This is a once in a, this is like, obviously we can't really make it our figure of the year for 2021, but I think if more on the admin team had this in hand before we did the review, this easily would have overtaken the OG Mando for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, barring them doing another run of them, it's once in a franchise. I mean, you got to go. This is the number one figure for me. Like if I had to have one, I'm picking this one because I want Grogu and an early Mando. I mean, that can be your Mandalorian collection right there. The OG one is great too, and it might do better in the aftermarket. I still debate that, but this is the one from just, for your collection. This is the Mandalorian wrapped up into one figure.
And Chris, one of the things that I've done, and I know a lot of other collectors have done, is use all the accessories from this deluxe version and enhance your original one. Like I've got the Grogu and Pram with the desert stand next to my OG Mando, and then I have him walking next to my Beskar one. So, I mean, it's very likely, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, that we're going to get a season 2 version of it, maybe with his speeder bike that he had on Tatooine. But again, TCU mentioned it almost once an episode, and you haven't yet, so I'll mention it for you. So many of these Star Wars releases are point-in-time releases that mean a lot to that certain part of the story, whereas with, and I'm not saying this in a bad way about Marvel, but there's always different versions of the characters, and yes, it means a lot to that moment in time, but there's so much fewer Star Wars content out there. I feel like it has a little bit more weight, more gravitas to each of those releases.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is a must-buy, no-brainer. If you can afford one figure for this year, I would lock this one in. I would not wait till a season 2 one comes out, because then you're gonna have to wait till next
another year.
Till later next year for it, and get this one, and if you like that one more, you can use this as currency to pay off that other one, because you never know once this one sells out.
Economist is just rubbing his hands here. We're talking all of his topics here.
I know.
All right, let's keep moving things along. We have a couple more to talk about. And nope. So we've got the Scout Trooper. TMMS 016, $220, and then obviously with the speeder bike TMMS 017, $455. So this is a pretty expensive speeder bike, guys. It comes with a Grogu. It comes with a different Grogu. It comes with the bag. Obviously, the eye catcher here is the speeder. I had this on pre-order originally. I decided I wasn't sure about it. Again, when I got back, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go all in on the Mando line. Kind of pre-ordered it again, and I'm on the fence about it. Like I'm leaning towards not keeping it. The only thing that's tempted me is this little stinking cute Grogu that's still part of here. And I'm like, I know it's the wrong thing to do, but I almost want to get it just to part it out, just to keep the Grogu. And I know a lot of people are probably going to do that, but I think Grogu on his own, just from this release, could probably go for $75 to $100.
Probably. I mean,
you could probably sell the Scout Trooper on his own. Even if you took air quotes, a small loss, you could probably get rid of him for like 180. The speeder bike you could probably sell for 200. So, I mean, those are things running through my head. I haven't canceled this pre-order yet, guys, but I don't know. This one feels a little, I was going to use a big fancy word and struggled with what I was going to say. I need my word of the day calendar from Chris, but
yeah, right.
I don't know. I'm on the fence with this one. Literally, it's currently, I have it on pre-order, but I'm not certain I'm going to keep it. I might even just get it, keep it sealed and let it go.
Yeah, I don't feel that way. This is like, I absolutely love the Scout Trooper design. It's one of my favorite designs, especially from Return of the Jedi. And I love the speeder bikes, even though it's got this different paint scheme. But I've got this set on pre-order. I don't have a single, I don't have the solo release of the Scout Trooper, but this is a must-have collection piece for me, even with the high price tag.
Yeah, I've got the speeder on order as well. This is why, like, I'm okay with not going for the assault tank trooper, not going for a Jango Fett, not going for some of the clones, like Coruscant guards. This is why I'm able to forego those, because these are the ones that I really want in my collection. So that's the sacrifice I'm making. I'm not going for some of these other ones on these other lines. Mm-hmm. This is why, because I got to go for this speeder. Like, I got to have this one. Grogu smiling with IG-11 on the speeder bike. Got to have it.
I think this original Scout Trooper is going to be Remnant Trooper 2.0. As an individual release, right. I don't think many people are going to get this individually without the speeder there. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I've got it. I may try to pass the pre-order off to somebody else. It's not with Sideshow, so we'll see. You guys are kind of talking me into it a little bit here. As a lot of people are saying, I really wish this was more Return of the Jedi, because then it would be a no-brainer for me. Death Watch Mandalorian, TMS 026. So we had a little bit of a gap in TMS numbers. I think we jumped quite a bit here. 235. Chris, we've talked about this before. This fits in more maybe with a Clone Wars look. This is a flashback in the show. This is, Death Watch saved young Mando. They brought him up. This is the way. Again, I've got this on pre-order because I was like, I'm going to get all the Mandalorians. I'm not certain about keeping the heavy Mando. Like, to me, this is on kind of like the I don't know. It's just where it's going to fit. I know Roy is really excited about this one. Like, Roy is really spot on with some of his predictions. Like, he's thinking this could be like the next, like, not necessarily shore trooper per se, but the shore trooper, mud trooper, patrol trooper that's really underappreciated until it comes out.
Yeah, and then there's I guess, whatever's made in the future, if it involves the Death Watch, could really have an influence on this figure. I don't know. I think this is, if you're not going for the whole line, I think you can easily pass on it. It's like I said, you can't just say, oh, I want this figure because it's going to be the next shore trooper. Every Star Wars figure has the potential to be that. Yeah. So at some point you have to draw the line. And if I was making a decision, this or the Scout, I'm going to take the Scout every day, all day over this one. Just kind of.
Yeah, I mean, much more. The Scout Trooper has more of a history with Star Wars fans, and had a bigger role in the show. But this figure for me, I initially wasn't going to go for it, but then after doing a full rewatch with with my wife through the Mandalorian series, I did decide that I was going to lock in a pre-order on this one. I like the color scheme. It's subtle but different enough that I think it'll stand out along with the other Mandalorian figures. I don't know. I'm a sucker for Mandalorian suit here, so it's one of those figures that. Yeah,
Bill with Dorklayer's got the fever. He's got the Hot Toys fever.
He does. He really does.
It's good to see. Bill's a great guy. We've obviously have podcasted with him before, and obviously hosts a really good show himself with Duke Fett, Chris as well. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
Tusken Raider. Obviously, there's some crossover appeal to A New Hope with this TMS028. We didn't talk about this that long ago. Again, this is one that I keep saying this, and I keep feeling like, what did I do? I feel like Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. It's like, what have I done? Not Justin Timberlake, not that gif here yet, but I mean, again, this has a place in a display. To me, this is probably maybe a better fit with A New Hope stuff. You can make a couple different looks, as we talked about with this TC. I got this on pre-order. I'm not super keen on it at this point. This is probably another buy and hold and sell at some point here.
Yeah, it's so tough because it's priced at $250. You almost need two. But if you're going for the rest of Mandalorian, you're going to really drop the 500 plus to do this. It's tough for me too. I do have one on pre-order, but the thing is, they didn't really play. They're not like a central role of the entire series. It was really, it was the very first episode. Yeah. They're just trying to defeat the monster, the beast, with Cobb Vanth, and it's.
And a small part in Chapter 5 with the.
If you're not going the whole line, I'd pass.
Yeah, Chris, any quick thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one. This is one that I'm actually passing on. I as cool as it is, and as OG OT, character.
Original 12.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to pass on this figure. So, yeah.
The Moff. We've talked about this one recently too. I think I even dopoed this one, guys. I'm at the point where is he a cool villain? Is he interesting? Does he narrate a little bit too much to us as the audience? Yes, but I'm okay with it. Maybe he thinks he's a little too clever. I'm like legit on the fence with this one. I'm leaning no. I'm leaning no at this point, guys.
Yeah, you need to lean yes. No, I mean, I think it's a buy. I think if this is to me like a top 5 figure in the line, because you get your Mando, maybe a trooper, maybe another trooper. Then you have the main villain, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be anyone else, or that this is the primary villain. Maybe down the line it's someone else, but I think this is a buy. Get the head sculpt.
Yeah, this is a must-have for me in the collection, just to have that balance with the Mando display. Because you can be, everybody has their own feelings, but I do feel as though I need some balance with, the villains and the good guys, and light side, dark side. I like having that, the good guys versus the bad guys kind of set up. So this is a must buy for me. Plus you get the Darksaber. You've got a different Imperial design. You've got the cape with the red and the black. I think it all works.
Transport Trooper. We kind of referred to him earlier when we were talking about the tank commander. Maybe there would be an exclusive version at this some point. Again, spoiler alert, you might get a Mando head sculpt with this, or maybe season 2 Mando comes with a head sculpt at some point. Again, spoiler. At this point, if you haven't watched it, tough. Why are you watching this podcast right now? As a standalone figure, I don't think this is that strong. I think TC, you took maybe over my pre-order with Underground Figures on this one. It looks cool. Again, when I put this up against like a name, I hate to say it, but like a named character, I'm probably going to side with that, unless at some point you have the ability to potentially, put the Din Djarin head sculpt on this. And I mean, that's an iconic scene from season 2, but I don't know. For me, it's a pass.
Yeah, it's go ahead, Chris. I think.
I feel I do have this on pre-order. It's not one that I'm crazy about. I do think it's cool design, but I'm not going to cancel my pre-order or anything. This is one I'll get in hand and then make my decision. But I guess if you're a Trooper guy, an Imperial collector, this is just another design to add into your lineup. But as far as being necessary for a Mando line, no.
Yeah, it's where if you're not doing the whole thing, you can easily drop it as probably one of the first few that you would consider dropping.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right, Elvis wanted me to talk about the Short Trooper. Obviously, we're not going to talk about the squad leader because that's Rogue One. 100% a buy for me. I mean, but I will say that I'm going to get this to put with Rogue One, and I'm not putting it with the Mando line. So that's what I'm doing. I would have bought this figure anyways. It just so happens it showed up in chapter 15 of the Mandalorian this season.
Yeah, it's a no doubt. This is a no doubt buy.
Yeah.
One of these of the Rogue One or the Mando. Just pick one.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't want if you can't afford both designs, I would just pick the one that sticks out to you more. But to me, the Short Trooper, again, just love this design. One of the best trooper designs in all of Star Wars. I think having a different paint scheme version, especially one where you could army build for those collectors that just love filling out a scene. This is a must-have for me.
So this is TMS 031, and the last one we'll talk about that has actually been announced so far is the Dark Trooper. Obviously, I mentioned Luke Skywalker is my favorite character in all Star Wars, and just one of my favorite characters in general. It's so tempting to want to get like 1 to 2 of these to put in a scene with Luke, blaring Ludwig Göransson, the friend, and then open the doors or whatever. Oh, so good. But ultimately, this is kind of a pass for me. I mean, it's obviously Star Wars, but it's not super Star Wars looking for me. It's still an awesome scene, but I don't feel compelled, guys, to need to get one of these just for that purpose. So for me, this is a pass.
Go ahead, Chris. I know you're a buy.
Yeah, I'm a buy for this times 2. Will I regret that decision? Time will tell. I think I love the look of these guys. If they turn out to be 100% plastic, kind of like Ultron Prime, then it may be less appealing. If it's more like K2SO, where he's got some heft, some die cast in the joints and everything, it's kind of a silly thing to, focus on, but it just feels a little bit more quality. But yeah, I need a couple of these guys.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to tell how the final construction is. Right now, it's a pass for me, which is annoying because I want to go complete on the Mando line and I'd pre-order the other ones, and I don't know if I'm going to order this one, and now it's breaking down my orders. So,
and this is why we're talking about this as a topic. All right. So next, the speculative. So obviously everybody knows, I feel like the characters from this show in particular are going to be like the new, where's Cyborg, where's, the original, where's Krennic, and eventually we got him, but made this cool little graphic. You guys haven't seen this yet.
No.
Couple different characters here. So very strong speculative. So, and I forgot to put the Mando with Speeder on here. Oh, shame on me. I meant to do. How did I miss putting him on there? So we've seen prototype of Mandalorian season 2 with the swoop speeder on Tatooine. To me, that's like 100% coming. So Ahsoka, like they are 100% gonna make an Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, you're going to lose your mind. We're going to have a special episode to talk about it. We've already told 6 Scale Economist he's joining us for that episode. Yes. Boba Fett. So, again, like, these are the things I'm struggling with. Like, I would get almost most of the characters on the screen before I'd get most of the troopers we just talked about. Mm-hmm. Are we going to get even a third of these characters? Probably. But more than that, it'd be hard to know. Both versions of Boba Fett, the reclaimed armor, I almost just swore. The repaint armor Boba Fett is like one of my favorite designs in all of Star Wars. So I love the color contrast. Like, are they definitely going to make this figure? I don't know. We don't know. We're not experts. But how can I set aside $280 for Heavy Mando when I'd rather set aside $280 for this other version of Boba Fett? I mean, to me, that's where I've got the Empire Strikes Back one. I've got the Return of the Jedi one. That for me is where I would go with this. 100% we're going to get a Luke Skywalker reissue. The market is insane for it right now. I think people are trying to sell it before a potential reissue is going to be there. Is it going to be the 429? Is it going to be the 517? We don't know. If I was a betting man, I would not be buying one of the older Lukes, like I just mentioned, for what the market prices are doing. Scavenge for a retail deal. They're out there. I got one for retail. It's doable if you look hard enough. Chris, R2-D2, I know Mike and Eric with Tashi Station. There's a lot of people that missed out on the R2 Deluxe. He showed up very easy, Chris, for them to potentially give us R2-D2 again as a reissue.
Yeah. It probably wouldn't. It would be, again, a soft Mando reissue. Like, probably wouldn't have all the gadgets and everything, but just brand it Mandalorian with, maybe it comes with another Grogu or something like that. So that's 100% possibility.
TC probably right there with high likelihood, as you mentioned, is probably the Rogue One Stormtrooper reissues. I mean, obviously very prevalent through the whole Mando series, clean. Mostly we see the clean one. We do see the Remnant Trooper even popping up in season 2. I mean, that's almost a no-brainer.
Yeah, I just don't think a lot of these are going to come fast and furious. Like
no, they're not. This is the long game. This is a long game collector decisions we're talking.
I mean, maybe it might be on another show. It may not even be Mandalorian Bo-Katan. The armor, I don't think they're going to drop until we see her again. Mm-hmm. The same with Greef Karga. But Ahsoka, like you said, she's on the way.
Cara Dune. I mean, that one, I think.
Debatable. You think it's going to happen?
I don't like. I put her in more of like the Cassian Andor. Like, you think that they would make the figure, but they just don't for one, or Baze or somebody like that. Like, it's almost too obvious that why aren't they doing it? Maybe they don't think it'll sell for some reason.
I mean, they'd have to. I mean, she's got a different. She's not the typical body shape of what they produce. So she's just a little bit different figure. So maybe they have to like rework the body a bit. But that
especially with exposed arms and everything. I think that figure people may not realize. A lot of work. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of reworking. But I mean, they made Heavy Mando. Not saying I'm like he's a completely different kind of figure. So Hot Toys can do it. It's just again, whether or not it's worth it for them to do it. Obviously, I mean, she's, looking at the chat, and even all through last summer, leading up, she's been a top tier wanted figure for the line. But I feel the same way as you guys. As much as we want her, I don't think she's probably coming. But
I mean, there's no sure thing with hot toy collecting. They're going to make the figures that they think they can make, that they'll sell a lot of and make money. As fans, we might want it all. Ultimately, I think what we wanted to come to a conclusion here was, even if there's a inkling of any of these figures that you think you might want, and if you're on a type of budget where you can't get, and it's hard for a lot of us to even get 10 figures in a year or more than that. So if you're loading up on you get caught up in the excitement, and there's some of these troopers that are out there. I mean, obviously you always have the ability to sell these figures. And one of the other things that we wanted to talk about too, and TC, you kind of mentioned it, or Chris, is there's nothing wrong with getting it, enjoying it for a little bit and selling it. The value of these are going to be high. So Rogue One proved to us that there's a lot of staying power in that line, because it was a well done line for the time, and they're still adding to it. We've talked, the three of us and the rest of our team, like there may not be a bad Mandalorian release, because either it's a great figure and it appreciates that well, or it's so scarce that even if it's not that strong of a figure, you've got the Remnant Trooper that's going for 2x. Mm-hmm. And even if you buy something and it ends up being something that doesn't fit your collection, you easily, and I shouldn't say easily, poor choice of words, I don't think it's going to be that hard for you to move it on to somebody that wants all of them. Like they want to just fill out their display with all of the releases. You will always find somebody that's willing to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's all troopers, and troopers sell. They
I know
always
they
sell.
do.
It doesn't matter what it is. There's like maybe one bad trooper that they've ever made.
Yeah, we won't talk
All
about the sequel trilogy ones, but
yeah, those, yeah.
Except for those.
Yeah, but even still, like, there was a time when some of the older non-sequel trilogy troopers were kicking around for decent money, but now you can't even find even the jump trooper, or like some of these random stormtroopers. Everything is way above retail, and just I think Star Wars is just so hot right now.
You'll never, until Hot Toys starts changing how they supply their troopers, you're never gonna have that happen again. I think they may got burned with the Force Awakens ones. Mm-hmm. Ever since then, they've cut back production, and or at least you would think, unless the demand is just so high for them, which it could very well be. But yeah, if you got a trooper, get it, move it on if you don't like it in a year.
So, I mean, obviously we're going to go long with this episode. We kind of had a feeling it would, but this was I felt like the three of us tackling this was worthwhile, and just to see where our headspace is with a lot of these different things. We're pretty well attuned to what's going in, on in the community, what the buzz is on some of these, but you're going to struggle to want to buy all of these budget-wise, space-wise. I don't think all of them are going to be the best. So ultimately, we'll just quickly kind of give our final talking point. Each of us, I'll go first on this, because I've just kind of let off each of these mini little conversations, is buy the figures you want to have in your collection. I know it sounds simple, but don't chase these things because you think that they're going to go for insane money. Most of these probably will, just because The Mandalorian is right there front and center with general pop culture. Baby Yoda, Grogu, the child. It's part of the lexicon for a lot of people now too. And this is bringing in a lot of new collectors. There's a lot of people that are excited about this. Just know that there's a long game to collecting, and know that there's going to be potentially other ones. Just don't put yourself in a position that feel regret that you ordered like 3 troopers, and all of a sudden you're a big Boba Fett fan, and then all of a sudden they've got those coming out, maybe both versions. And you're like, what did I do? I should have but it's like a moving target. It's so fun to be a collector because there's so many different things that all the data changes daily. We get a new release or there's new information, and you have to decide. I made this stupid Venn diagram once in our group of like, budget, space, and future releases, and then we're like in the middle as scavengers. It's like, what do we do? Well, we talk about this on podcasts.
Yeah, do it, collect what you want, but I will say one thing: just do not pass on a Mandalorian. Just pick one. Just do it.
Yeah.
And anything else, go for it.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely say, if you're a Star Wars fan and you really want to focus on the Mandalorian line, be willing to let go some of the other non-Mandalorian releases, because it's just, for me, like I've decided I'm not getting ESB Lando, Django, a number of other figures, just because I want to put more focus on the Mando line. And then now with them putting out a few Rogue One figures, I still want to continue to build on that line as well. So yeah, you just got to pick and choose. Definitely go for the stuff that really pops for you. And if you can afford to grab, a trooper that you like, but you may not necessarily keep, go for it. But don't overstretch yourself financially, for sure.
And
Joe
and Clone Wars is going to come in and ruin all of our budgets. So there's so much. You gotta. It's hard to be a collector, and it's so hard to find a focus and a mini focus. And just know that churning a collection, buying and selling is healthy. So.
Feature figure review, finally. This is a super long one. Usually we've got a guest on when we go this long, but
usually pretty spot on with the hour and a half. But
not going to happen. Times we've gone over.
Yeah, feature figure review.
Sorry, everybody can see that I was dying from coughing on mute. I'm like gasping for air, and it was right as we're changing topics. So we've done this enough altogether. You guys are professionals. You would have carried on even if I croaked right here. Finish off the episode like professionals that we are. So the Incinerator Trooper TMS012. We'll be kind of brief with this. We've talked about it a lot recently. We thought it would be great to have our feature figure review be one of the Mando releases we were just talking about. TMS012, MSRP $220 on Sideshow. Still available a lot of different places. You can get this retail if you hunt, even if you look for other places. Originally announced January 19th, 2020, released on August 27th, 2020. So just shy of 8 months. It was a quick release. It's essentially, guys, as we'll get into it, it's kind of it's a repaint of the Rogue One Stormtrooper with a couple changes. And TC, some of the changes that you noticed that I didn't quite notice. That's a lot of noticing there. And obviously beat that expectations. Sideshow originally thought they were going to get it in October, so beat that by several months. So you both have it in hand. I've previously owned this and have since sold it. I've done a lot of the talking. You talk first.
Yeah, go for it, TC.
I mean, I think it's a good figure. I like, one of my favorite things about it is so hard. Like troopers, like you don't think that they improve. But Hot Toys does improve, and to me the shoulder pads that I think Cody's got this, where they've got the little elastic band that goes around the arm to keep it in place, rather than having it glued to the rest of the shoulder and the torso area, because that glue can break down in it and leave yourself with a faulty shoulder. So this is an improvement, and it's subtle, but it also I think adds to the shape of the figure a little bit. It makes it a little bit better. It's a great figure. The accessories are cool. The only thing is it is, and I guess it was like that, like you guys said, it was like that in the series. It is a little bit clean. But the red, Roy pointed this out, the red is very weathered, but the rest of the figure is really clean. So it's kind of a little bit of an odd look there. But I mean, this is better version of the Shock Trooper that's been out.
Mm-hmm.
I would much rather have this one. Very big moment in Mandalorian, and shortcomings aside with the articulation, I think it's a pretty solid release. And I think the reason why it's sticking around longer than some other troopers is there's really no reason to army build this one. So like pretty much every order I would suspect is just one figure for collectors rather than, 2 or 3 like with the Death Trooper or the Remnant Trooper. So I think that's why it's kind of sticking around. But I don't think it'll be around much longer.
Yeah, I mean, going on the point of the weathering, if you do look at this figure, the white is not 100% clean. There are scuff marks. There is some weathering. The promo images, it's really hard to pick up on it, and especially with it here compared to the Remnant Trooper with his buddy helping him put it on his backpack. You can see some of the subtle little touches here and there. For me, like I just opened this figure up right before we went on this afternoon and got him all set up, read the instructions. Please do so when you're putting on the backpack. And, setting up the accessory is very important because some of the snaps and things are very delicate. But it is tough to get this figure in some of these promo pick poses just because the shoulder or the forearm armor and the wrist joints, the wrist pegs and stuff, it is fiddly. And I need to practice patience when I'm setting a figure up. I think I could really dial this one in if I gave it some time. But for me, I just like the color contrast. This figure, I mean, it's one of the best looking figures as far as a thumbnail for our show, just because it's like basically our show colors. Or our 6-scale Scavengers color scheme, so I love it for that. But I think if you don't have any troopers in your lineup, or you just want something different with a different color to make something pop, make the Star Wars lineup pop, I'd go for it.
We're not usually too negative on this show. Usually, my motto has always been, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. But
Bryan hates it.
It's
just
garbage. Hot garbage.
No, it's not that
Flaming garbage.
I don't miss this figure.
Yeah.
I like it better in the show than the figure form. This was probably one of the most infuriating figures that I had ever owned, just because of the inability for me, even with that patience that you were mentioning, Chris, just to even get it something that I even liked what it looked like on the shelf. It's just, I don't know what it is about it. Even when it was on the shelf, it just kind of like, to me, it didn't have the presence that I really wanted it to from what I saw like in the promo art. And I've got a well lit case. I've got Maja cases, the 6th 110. So it certainly wasn't that. It just like, it would be impossible for me to achieve this pose here. I don't know. And then I didn't like the way that the wiring and the hose came out of the back of the backpack. Maybe with being able to work it and keep it longer. So long story short, it was cool to have. It's cool to say that I had it at one point, but I don't really miss it. And as we just talked about it, like it's a cool part. And certainly doesn't mean that I don't like it. Doesn't mean that it's not something that somebody else could really appreciate. It's just, yeah, that's all I kind of say about that. It's just the other design that they had for, just the size of the flamethrower compared to like just holding like an E11 blaster. Like TC, you made the point of, comparing this to the Shock Trooper, which was when the video game releases that they had done, very similar to this, but different enough. I'd rather have this than that, but still, yeah. And here's the scene. Obviously, this is a cost baby Grogu here, and not.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Too
Let's
funny.
do some reviews. I'm struggling to think of something on a scale of 1 to 5 of what we want to rate this guy's on, but
Flamethrowers. I mean,
all right, we'll go with flamethrowers. So I'll go first because you guys are going to be more positive, and I want to leave people with a positive thought here. On a scale of 5 flamethrowers, I'm toying between this. I decided earlier I'm going to go with 4 flamethrowers. It's probably one of the lowest rated figures that I've ever had. Now, 4 out of 5 is still definitely worth getting. It's just, to me, it isn't. I have a tough time rating it much higher than that.
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, I think 4.5 is a fair rating. 4.5 flamethrowers. I'm a terrible poser as it is, so if I can't get this pose that's on the screen with him firing his gun in the air, it doesn't matter to me. I like the innovations that Hot Toys does with their troopers and the undersuit. I think the undersuit's good. The advancements that I talked about before, and just the overall design, like Chris said. I like the colors. Red, black, and white. Can't go wrong there. It's 4.5. It just looks just a trooper. It doesn't do anything much worse than the other troopers. Just doesn't do anything that stands out. So 4.5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, TC. 4.5. Definitely a fiddly one to get right, but I think if you can achieve that right pose in your lineup, I think it will definitely help out. But I know, Kenji Club, don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
The 6 scale clothier could make a return.
Oh, God. I'm all out. My stock is depleted, and I don't feel like buying any more of it. But
Yeah.
you never know.
I don't blame you. So there's our thoughts on that. Obviously, still a good endorsement for the figure. My rating aside there. So closing thoughts, guys. I think we're going to hit the 2-hour mark by the time we get doing all the plugs here. But I hope that I hope our viewers and listeners appreciated us kind of going through here. Let us know in the comments below on what you think. I think the last 2 shows, to me, hopefully will resonate with a lot of collectors. And hopefully, again, we're not experts. We don't pretend to be, but hopefully we're doing and making a lot of the same decisions, Chris and TC, that, a lot of our collector friends and people in the community are going through as well.
Yeah, we're here to talk it out and try to figure out this crazy game of Hot Toys collecting. And you definitely cannot buy them all, even though they're all tempting. Definitely have to make cuts in one way or the other.
Yep. Try and find the direction. There's not really a question if the figure's good anymore. I think that disappeared a long time ago. So it's finding your direction, whether that's sprinkling in a couple from Mando, a couple from the prequels, a couple from Clone Wars, or going all in on one line. A lot of different opportunities.
Yeah, you want to be able to look at your shelf and put a smile on your face, or think of a really cool memory or something. I mean, that's why we collect. So, all right, we'll do our plugs really quickly here. We have our website, 6scalescavengers.com, where we've got our checklists and databases for Star Wars, Marvel, and DC Comics. Made some additions to the DC page for the first time since, guys, it was like December 6th, I think, was when the DX19 was out. Kind of crazy. We've got our T Public store, 6 Scale Scavengers there. Chris, the Dopo shirt. Roy made a new design in Star Wars banana yellow. Is that what they called it?
Yes.
The design. I being a Star Wars fan my whole life, I didn't know that actually was a thing, but there's a banana yellow one. There's a white and a black. You can get those all in the different colors. And there's a few dollars of each of those t-shirt sales that, goes towards our operating costs, mostly on the podcasting side. We've got our Facebook page. We're on Instagram and Twitter. We've got our audio podcast on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and 6scalescavengers.libsyn.com. If you want to grab that RSS feed and throw it into your podcast catcher of choice. And of course, our friend Scott with Parker Files, the official Marvel Hot Toys video reviewer. of 60 Scavengers just recently had a video out for Gamora, so definitely check that out. I know he's got some other stuff in the works, and as soon as he knows what the schedule will be, we'll plug him. But glad to have him part of the council, part of our team, and great to see him doing great things on his channel. I think he just hit guys like 450 subscribers. He's marching to 1,000. He'll be there in no time. For me, for my money, Scott's one of the best video reviewers out there on YouTube. So he has far too few subscribers.
Oh yeah. Yep. Great work.
So I think that brings us to the end of the show. We are now officially over the 2-hour mark, and I know my voice is gone. I started coughing up quite a bit towards the end of the show there, but we do it because it's fun. There's a lot of prep work that goes into this. We have a whole team of people that help out with doing various different things that we do to make this happen. I wish we just showed up and just had it happen, but there's certainly a lot of planning and grabbing pictures and stuff that occurs for a lot of this. And then, of course, actually doing the talking and setting the time aside to do this is, it's fun. We do it because it's fun. We're certainly not making money off this.
Yeah. Sorry, we had to start a little bit later than usual. It was my daughter Alice's 4th birthday today, so we were celebrating that. So
you didn't bring TC and I cupcakes, though. That's why I'm disappointed.
I know. I'll just I'll toss them across the state and send them down to Atlanta area. Yeah. So, but again, thanks for everybody in the chat. We had a really good amount of people watching live and great conversations going on. Sorry, there was a lot of topics that people wanted us to touch on, but we just can't get to everything. But we appreciate everybody checking us out, chiming in, and a lot of people being helped, questions being answered in the chat by other scavengers. So yeah, absolutely.
Special shout out to moderator Mike out there, sticking with us every time. We certainly appreciate it, my friend. So all right, I think that's going to do it for the end of the show here, Chris. So while I stall and get our nice little outro video to play here, Chris, my friend, bring us home.
Excelsior.